We invite our friends.
Sharing the sound. Okay, here we go. You're inviting the friends. I'm pushing play.
Oh my goodness, you're gonna miss the intro.
Welcome to Earl and the Idiot, the show that gives you the answers you need to take your business to the next level. With Earl Flormata, one of Vancouver's most sought-after business and marketing consultants, author of Business Engine Optimization, consultant to over 60 successful businesses, an all-around evil marketing genius with a combined total of more than $70 million worth of sales to his credit. And some idiot. Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
Earl. I'll never get tired of the intro.
What? It's a good intro.
Yeah, I like
it. Shout out once again to my boy Jason McKinnon for all your voiceover needs. He's the guy to go to.
Absolutely.
So I don't know which elephant in the room we need to talk about first. I'm trying to do a background for the subject. This is supposed to be a helpful outsourced person.
Right. But look at her. When you sit in the middle, it's like your hair.
That's right in the middle. It's announced as my hair.
You just enhanced your hair.
Which my hair is in desperate need of enhancement, so that's okay. So elephant in the room number 2, for those who are listening on audio, Earl is showing off how good he can be by doing this with one eye tied behind his back.
Yeah. So this is now the 7th time, because this is my 8th meeting today.
Okay.
I had to tell this story. So the first time someone's like, "Whoa, what happened? What does the other guy look like?"
Yeah. I don't want to make that joke. It's too obvious.
Knowing the martial arts background. The first was it wasn't a person, it was a bug. So people don't notice about me. One of my superpowers is I'm invisible to insects. You could be walking a parking lot and there's just this happy little bee flying through, and he will kamikaze himself onto my forehead and die. And anyway, so I'm invisible to bugs. They can't see me apparently. And clearly I didn't see it coming because it got me in the eye. And you'd think that a guy who wears glasses already has a defense against, the dark arts of the insect's rear end. But anywho, a bug flew right at my face, went up and above and down below the glasses, pinged me in the eye, died. Wing got stuck in the eye, and it just irritated the crap out of my eye. And here we are today. So I have
the wing got stuck.
Yeah, that was pleasant.
You mean like the bug left and the wing stayed?
Yeah.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah, boy. It wasn't that nice. It was definitely not.
God.
So I went to the optometrist. He checked. There's no permanent damage, so don't worry. I'm fine. It's just for a couple of days I got to put some drops in 3 or 4 times a day and rest my eye every now and again with the eye patch. So since I'm not doing anything visually sensitive, the eye patch stays on while I'm doing the podcast.
Earl, you're not getting a black one? What's the matter with you?
I did. I ordered it. It's en route. Of course I did. By the way, the eye patch was optional, he said, but I said no. There's no such thing as an optional eye patch. When someone gives you the opportunity to be a pirate, you be a pirate. So
you be a pirate.
On one of the previous Zoom calls, you don't understand. On one of the previous Zoom calls, Lily flew on my shoulder with the eye patch, and it was just this is one of those things. And this morning, obviously, everyone's making fun of me. My wife, my kids are like, "Oh, you have an eye patch and a lily." And okay, well, you know what? So I sat down at the piano and played Pirates of the Caribbean because that's what you have to do in the situation, which is perfect. So there you go.
Oh my God.
Hello.
Where's the? Yeah, hang on. I'm trying to find my video filter. There it is.
Oh, you have an eye patch too.
Oh, hang on.
Let's see.
There we go.
Oh, there you go.
You feel more at home? You feel more included now?
I feel included.
Yes. It's true though. Ask any guy. Does he want a scar that goes from here to here and an eye patch? Yes.
Yes.
We all want that. Every guy wants that. We want
100%.
that. What's that?
100%. My
100%.
favorite character in Naruto, the ninja anime, is Kakashi, and he literally has a scar, and he covers it with his headband. So yeah, there you go. He's my hero.
Yeah, it's just a fact.
Yep, absolutely.
Hey, I'm going to share the YouTube link for everybody. Join us. I'm missing the story. Oh my goodness. All right. I gotta get rid of this. The pirate thing is cracking me up. I gotta get rid of it.
I think if I put the pirate thing on though, it'll put it on the wrong eye, and then I'll have both eyes covered, which would be bad.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Choose video filter. Which one is that? There's a pirate eye patch one.
Let's see down there. Just keep scrolling down.
Gotta keep
Unfortunately, it's
scrolling.
not just eye patch. They need the Hitman eye patch with the scar and the
Oh yeah, no
patch
kidding.
instead of
Oh,
the
here's
pirate.
the pirate one. If I do this, I wonder.
Let's see.
Yeah, I get both eyes, and now both eyes are blank, and now I can't see
Yeah.
that thing. That's not gonna work.
That's hilarious. But you didn't run out you're going to be done needing it by the time it arrives from Amazon. You didn't get one that day.
It's gonna arrive today, and I have to do this for the doctor said 4 days. So, man,
All right. You need
So,
a try patch then.
I will be a cool pirate for at least 2 more days.
All right. Fine.
Hey, I ordered it Amazon Prime. It's as fast as it can get here.
Yeah. Just you can't miss opportunities like this, man.
The only thing I could have done faster was find a dollar store with an eye patch, but I couldn't find one fast enough. And it's
That's
really
what I would have done.
it's really hard navigating with one. You have no depth perception. People hand me like miss. It's just, so like he literally hands me a receipt and I missed. I grabbed the phantom receipt. I'm like, God damn it. So,
Yeah.
so I'm still not sure which one I'm supposed to trust yet. So it's like, that doesn't work. So
Right.
there you go. And I can't figure it out in
my-
time before Lily decides to bite me, which is a problem. So
She's gonna bite you? Why? Because you have an eye patch?
well, if I'm giving her food and she looks at me, doesn't recognize me, she freaks out. So it's just like great. So and I'm
You
trying
have to draw. You have to draw an eye on the patch, and then she'll
I
be
guess.
totally fine with you once again.
Yeah. Anywho,
All right. Wow, that's some good. That's some quality stuff to open the show with today. I like that.
Poop and eye patches. There you go.
Yeah. I was gonna say something else probably important, but
Not as important as blueberry poop and eye patches.
nothing is as important as that. So despite being severely diminished, we're gonna try and soldier on here and have ourselves a show.
Absolutely.
All right. We were talking to I was gonna introduce this is Earl and the Idiot. This is the show where we have Earl, the pirate, giving you his best techniques for rating other businesses or rating customers with their money. I don't know what
Hey, this is on brand, man. Evil marketing genius. All you have to do is
evil
this
marketing genius.
with
Yeah.
the patch, and then I look the part better. So
Exactly. And then I'm here to ask the stupid questions to get the smart answers. And sometimes I pretend to ask stupid questions. Sometimes I genuinely ask stupid questions. But regardless, I'm here to be the viewer asking the questions to get the information we need about the subjects. I mean, this is really bugging me, the outsourcing person in the background there.
the hair is just you wish you had the long flowing locks or what?
I have at various times in my life. Actually, my hair's are always been kind of thin, so I always wanted to look like Gavin Rossdale from Bush.
Mhm.
That was what I wanted to have in the 90s, and I grew my hair out, and then I went to the hairdresser with the picture, like the CD. I was like, this guy here on the CD, I want to look like him, and she goes, he's got really thick hair.
Yeah. I'm not magic. Oh yeah. I have my own terrible experience of that. I once upon a time I grew my hair long to see if I could be like one of those K-pop stars back before K-pop was cool. And
Yeah.
I failed miserably because I used to have really thick, long, curly, very curly hair. And so now that it's thinned out, and now that I'm older, I could probably pull it off. But like back when I was young, no, not so much. So so now I can be
wow.
the aging K-pop star, which I don't think it's as cool, but whatever.
Sure, they exist.
Maybe.
You can be the Mick Jagger of K-pop.
That's great.
All right, enough of this silliness. Let's dive right into it. So we talked about this a little bit. We sort of got ahead of ourselves a little bit. We talked about communication in business.
Mhm.
And what came up quite a lot because of a real life experience I was in the middle of having was outsourcing.
Yes.
And then I realized we didn't actually have a show on outsourcing, which I
Right.
think is one of your big secrets of success, isn't it? You endeavor to do as little work yourself as possible, and probably end up working twice as hard trying to do as little work as possible.
It starts off that way and then it's glorious afterwards. So
All right.
starts off that way.
Front.
So I want to say 8 years ago, as a birthday present to myself, I got myself a virtual assistant because I've managed like giant teams of like 300 virtual assistants for other companies and other people. And then one day it just occurred to myself, I can use one of those.
Yeah.
And that's when life got better. So Ferris, if you're watching this, we love you. You're awesome.
Ferris. Heads up. Or shout out to Ferris. There was that guy who did that experiment. He tried to outsource as much as he possibly could of his entire life, like everything in his life.
Yeah.
He tried to outsource. And I believe it ended up with his overseas assistant was arguing with his wife for him. He outsourced having an argument with his wife.
That's kind of magic.
Right? I don't know how the wife felt about that.
I've also seen people outsource their work to the point where they could actually hold down multiple jobs because their outsourced assistants were doing most of the heavy lifting for these pretty complex jobs. I'm like, no, that's impressive. I think one dude ended up with like 6 or 7 jobs, outsourced everything. And yeah.
I think I might have the facts wrong in this, but there was a guy who he didn't just outsource his job. He actually just wrote a program that would do his job for him.
Yep.
And it would literally just come in every day and like play Minecraft or World of Warcraft, whatever it was at the time, Doom. And didn't they try to sue him? And he's like, I did the work. What do you want?
The work is done.
Yeah.
And then when they
do you remember the outcome of that?
Well, they tried to fire him, so he took down all of his automations. And they're like, no, we get all the automations. He's like, well, no, you're not paying me to do this work anymore. So I took them all down.
You paid me to build the automations.
So, which is hilarious. So there you go.
It's funny how this actually ties in, because it's funny how businesses look at it. They look at that. It's like the work got done. If it was bad quality work or something, sure. But instead of going, hey, how dare you trick us like this? You go, geez, you're a freaking genius to trick us like this. Tell us more about how you did it, and let's see how we can get more work done automatically like this.
Can we pay you to
put you in charge of automation?
Yeah. Can we pay you to do more of that so you can, do 10x the work of a regular guy? Right. There you go.
Yeah. People don't think sensibly like that. All right. So we have outsourced to AI, which is a whole other subject. The excuse me. The coming up with ideas for this. So we just asked AI, and I know this is something you're going to be extra super genius on because you've been doing it quite a long time. We'll see if AI nails it, or if it doesn't have the right ideas here. Question is, what are the best practices for outsourcing work?
Yep.
So what do you outsource? What don't you outsource? How do you do it? So the preamble that it came up with is, when it comes to outsourcing work, there are several best practices that can help ensure a successful partnership and maximize the benefits of outsourcing. Here are some key recommendations. Diving right into it. Number 1, clearly define your objectives. I'm sure you agree quite heartily with that. It's given us long paragraphs this week. Define your objectives. Before outsourcing any work, clearly define your goals, requirements, and expectations. This includes specifying deliverables, quality standards, timelines, and any other relevant details. The more specific and detailed your requirements are, the easier it will be to communicate them to the outsourcing partner. This obviously ties in with last week's show on communication, but Earl, your thoughts? My pen, I'm trying to point at you with my pen.
100%.
My pen doesn't show up if I do this.
Oh yeah.
Earl, it's got a starship.
Okay.
It's got the Razorback on it. Razor Crest. Anyway, Earl, what are your thoughts?
Absolutely. So there's this thing called definition of done that we use in a framework called Scrum. And the times that you don't use definition.
Sorry, let me ask a dumb question. Framework called Scrum, is that a practice or a software?
It's a practice. So
practice.
There's a thing called Agile, which is a way of getting stuff done. The traditional way is called waterfall, where here's the beginning, here's an end, here's everything in the middle. And waterfall is fantastic for building stuff that doesn't move, like a bridge, right? Here's one end, here's the other end, and we need the bridge, ta-da, right? Whereas software or design is a living thing where people change their minds. They go, no, I want this instead, and then they completely change it. No, I want this instead. Da, da, da. So when you're doing something that has a moving target, you pretty much have to use agile, because if you try to use waterfall, it's just going to explode because it keeps moving, and then you have to rejig everything all over again. Whereas, building a bridge, it's a pretty hard argument that says, no, we want to move the bridge from here to over there. No, people don't do that. They go, no, I want the bridge from here to here. That's it, right? And they usually don't change their mind going, so for the same budget, can we make the bridge 45% longer and put it over here instead?
Except for here in Vancouver, where they, for the sake of budget, they use one tower instead of two. So the wires now go across the bridge. And then as soon as it snows, the snow falls off the wires and drops giant bombs on the cars below, breaks the windshields.
Exactly. So
someone should have changed their mind on that project, but that's a whole nother subject.
That's neither here nor there. Vancouver doesn't snow that often, so you don't really take that into consideration. But clearly defining your objectives, where I'd like a bridge that doesn't kill the people on it, please. Very good definition of done, right? So
that's sort of step one.
Yeah. So before outsourcing the work, it says clearly define what you want. Absolutely. So if you're not crystal clear, this is exactly what I want, realize that you're communicating with somebody halfway around the world. So if you're not super clear, neither will they. And it's like the telephone game, right? It says apple, 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 kumquat. You're like, what the hell? How did it turn from? That's not even close, right? And then when you realize somewhere in between there, it actually went apple, banana, orange, kumquat. You're like, wait, no. And so that's how communication happens if you're not super, super, super clear on what it is you want. So the definition of done is really important with the deliverables, how you're supposed to do it, the quality, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're not outlining all those things, it's like having a malicious genie, right? Where genie, I wish for blah, and he gives you literal blah, right? But doesn't take into account any of the common sense things around it, right? So there you go.
Exactly. So here's the question. I'm actually just looking ahead here, and I'm not seeing this exactly.
Okay.
But here's a dumb question. When you hire someone to do the work for you, do you have to tell them how to do it? Or is it like, I want this and they do it? Like, do you have to instruct them on the method of achieving what you want? Or should they know that already?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay.
Sometimes. So as an example, I would like a presentation created, right? But they're really good at Photoshop. But I don't want it in Photoshop. I would like it in PowerPoint or Keynote or some presenter tool. If you tell them I want a presentation, they'll build it in Adobe Illustrator. Give you the Adobe Illustrator file and go, here, sir, it's done. And it's like, wait, no, that's not what I meant. Right? So again, it's like having a genie with a learning disability, right? Hey, genie, I want to be able to fly. And he just hurls you into the sky. Right? No wings, no plane, no nothing. Look, you're flying, you're welcome. Now you go splat.
Yeah, you absolutely can already.
Right. Genie, I want to fly. Fling, okay, you're welcome. Now what? Right.
That's good. I like that.
So that's where the wish comes into play. Like, I'd like to fly by my own power, be able to land safely, blah, blah, blah. So having that definition of done, right, makes a difference, right? So
even worse, you say, genie, I want to fly, and a bug flies straight into your eyeball.
Wish granted. I got it.
Earl, you want to fly? Here's a fly.
There you go. Clearly, I wish.
All right. So good. So the next one, and this kind of ties in a bit here. Excuse me. Thoroughly research and select the right partner. Take the time to research and evaluate potential outsourcing partners. Consider factors such as their experience, expertise, track record, reputation, client testimonials, and financial stability. That's an interesting one. Look for partners who have a proven track record in delivering similar projects or services. So before you start answering that, let's ask the total idiot question. Where do I go? Is there a supermarket? Is there a listing? Is there yellow pages? Can I get a yellow pages book? What's that?
There's tons and tons of places.
But specifically, if I go off the Zoom call, or one of our viewers goes off the Zoom call and goes, geez, I never considered outsourcing, I'm going to do it. Where do they go to find an outsourcer?
There are outsourcing websites where you want to pick an outsourcer. Like, here's a funny way to do it. If you want to pick an outsourcer who's really good at SEO, type in the word outsourcing partner, and who's ever good at SEO, they will show you by being good at SEO and showing up first, right? So test to see the waters, right?
That makes a lot of sense.
When I hire an outsourcer to run ads, type in outsourcer in Google and click on the ads, and those are the ones that are the best because hey, guess what? They did it, right? So
That's pretty smart.
so that's a funny way to test it. But taking the time to research and evaluate potential outsourcing partners, it depends on the skill set required. It depends on the skill set. I actually agree and have disagree with this. So
Okay.
I do not thoroughly research and select the right partner based on all of these factors. So experience, track record, reputation. I actually pick the ones that are the best at following directions because I'm not dependent on my outsourcing partner. I'm dependent on my SOPs, my standard operating procedures, because your business is only as strong as your systems, right? So even if you pick the right partner, and they might have all these things, but they'll only be good at that one thing, right? And so if you want them to be good at multiple things and be, like half decent at a bunch of stuff, you're better off. Actually, here's one of my secret sauces. We recruit people based on, you're gonna laugh. Either they have a science school background, again, nothing to do with who they are or what they do. They went to science school, or they went to a culinary arts school.
They can follow a recipe.
Right. Because in the science class, if you screw up the hydrochloric acid, everybody dies. And in the recipe class, if you screw up the muffins, no one likes your muffin, right? So you fail.
Yeah.
So anybody who's passed either science or culinary arts is really damn good at following a recipe. All a recipe is a standard operational procedure. If the recipe is good or the SOP is good, the outcome will be good.
But they don't necessarily list that right away on their resume or whatever.
They do indeed on their CV that actually says graduated from science school, graduated from culinary arts school. And we actually go headhunting in those two locations.
Wow. So there's no like central clearinghouse master listing of outsourcers. You just got to Google it.
There's a bunch of different places.
What about Upwork and Fiverr?
John Jonas runs online.ph for Filipino people. If you're looking for someone in the Philippines, there is
online.ph.
I think it's online.ph.
Okay.
That might be one of his old domains, but if you just look up John Jonas, recruit, outsourcer, he'll show you how to get one in the Philippines. If you look up the
Tell him Earl sent you.
If you look up the 4-Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferriss, he shows you really good places in India to get good folks.
Okay.
What you want to do is you want to establish, you want to recruit from the set of people that have that subset of experience. And I don't want to put everybody in a bucket, but you got to put everyone in a bucket, right? Because certain people are going to be better at certain things than other people, right? So the Philippines is better for usually customer service, right? Their English is very strong. They actually get trained to not have an accent. It's kind of wonderful. So I'm working with a couple of people from a call center right now. They speak better English than I do. Right? So I'm like, well, I guess you guys are doing the grammar checks now because you grammar check my stuff and find errors, right? So yeah, you want to aces in their places, right? We have at some other projects we have coders from Kenya, and they're fantastic. Best I've ever seen. I'm like, holy cow. Another good place to get coders is the Ukraine, right? The Ukraine has fabulous coders. Eastern Europe, tons of like really good coders. People for the tech side of the equation, the Indian folks have a better aptitude for techie type stuff. So you're going to find a lot of people from India from a tech support standpoint because they're just better naturally good at that tech piece. So again, it depends where in the world you're going to hire somebody, right? And then it depends on what skill set you require, right? So, customer service, Philippines, because they've got super friendly customer service, right? That's just, when you call people and they have that friendly phone demeanor and they're just really happy to talk to you, it's the Philippines most of the time, right? So,
there you have it, everyone. Earl's racial preferences.
But it's just based on, and sometimes you have to follow the racial stereotype, right? Because you follow the stereotype because that's where a lot of the skill set happens to be, right? So
yeah,
this
is based on hard-won experience from you, though.
Most of it's from bleeding from the head, yeah. So I tried to hire customer service in India and I failed miserably. I tried to hire coders from the Philippines and I failed miserably. I tried to, yeah. So long story short, it's just like, I bled for most of this information by doing it wrong and going, oh man. Yeah.
Just bleeding from the eye.
Yeah, bleeding from the eye. Exactly. That's why I got the scar, right? Anyway.
Hey, Earl, can you just touch your finger to your nose? Can you do that for me?
I think I can get this one, but this one's a little off.
Yeah.
I have no depth perception. This is terrible.
If I close an eye, can I do? Yeah. All right, moving on here. To establish effective communication channels. Communication is crucial when outsourcing work. Establish clear and efficient communication channels with the outsourcing partner. This may involve regular meetings, video conferences, email updates, the use of project management tools. That's a good question I want to ask. Ensure that both parties understand and agree upon the preferred communication methods and frequency.
That is super important. And the very beginning, you want a crap ton of meetings so that the communications are fast and furious in the very beginning, and people get to understand each other's cadences and their knacks and how they like to talk. You only want one or two channels tops. Sometimes we call it Earl the idiot, but sometimes Earl is the idiot. I have, I swear to you, at least 3, 6, 9 times 4, 36 different tools I use for communications. Right. So we use everything from WhatsApp to WeChat to Telegram to Discord to Twitter to direct messages on Instagram and it just goes on and on and on and on. The Japanese folks use Line, some people in Europe, for whatever reason, still freaking use Skype. I don't know why. Yeah. So some people.
Does Skype have a messenger function even?
Skype has a messenger function.
Oh my God.
So I still have chats on Skype. I'm like, who the hell uses Skype? Anyway, so
Europeans, apparently.
I have like 4 pages of this crap on my phone, and every single one of them is for a different batch of people. So when you talk to your team, pick one, stick to it. I prefer Slack for that sort of thing. And the only reason is because Slack is probably the best tool for having threads. So you have your discussion, and underneath that discussion, you've got threads upon threads upon threads, and that way it's still terrible, but it's less terrible than all the other ones, because WhatsApp, it's a giant pile of nothing, right? Where you're just searching and praying to God.
Okay, hang on. So here's an idiot question. Actually, I've never worked with Slack. I'm actually not even totally sure what Slack is. It's a project management tool. Is that right?
No, it's sort of, but it's more so an interdepartmental chat function.
Okay.
Coworkers. You can build separate channels for separate projects. You can have private conversations one-on-one. You can have mini group conversations if you'd like. And Slack is kind of awesome for that.
So you're not laying out tasks and showing dones. It's just a talking feature.
It's a talking feature, but the reason why Slack is so powerful is because it has a crap ton of integrations. So as an example, let's say I share something on a Google Drive with people on the channel. Slack will actually check and go, hey, 3 out of the 17 people on the channel don't actually have access to that folder. You want to give them access? Oh yeah, that'd be great.
That sounds nice.
And it just
you just one button.
And because there's integrations, it'll go, yeah, I'll give all these people access to this file. Okay, right.
Nice.
So there's a bunch of integrations that make life easier. There's lots of bots you can install on Slack to make your life better. Like, remind everybody when everyone's birthday is. So-and-so's birthday is coming up on this day. Yay, birthday. So, but yeah, there's lots of little integrations on there that make life better.
Okay. And what about for project management? Like, where they can acknowledge done. Do you just talk to them by chat, or do you want to have a project management tool that shows the progress of each task and all this stuff?
It depends on the nature of the project, right? So as an example, if I'm managing a development project, I use Jira from the Atlassian suite. If I'm managing a marketing project,
you're just making up words now. Stop it.
If I'm using a marketing project, I typically use Monday, or I use ClickUp, or I use so depending on what they're doing.
What was the last one you cut out?
Asana, ASANA.
Asana. Okay.
Asana. It was made from 2 people from ex-Facebook people.
Gross.
And so there's a million project thing. There's a thing called Microsoft Project if you want to go old school. There's a 1,000,001 project management utilities. Basecamp has another one by 37 Signals. So it just depends on how you want to manage stuff, right? So Jira is super technical. So unless they're also super technical and they're a bunch of coders, no one will like you, right? So if you
Okay.
make a bunch of creatives use Jira, they'll kill you. But if you make the bunch of creatives use Monday, they'll all love you because Monday is color coded and pretty, right? So
Yeah.
it just depends
I
on.
guess you have subscriptions to all of these, right?
From all of my clients, yes. So one client has Monday, one client has Asana, one client has ClickUp, one client has blah blah. What do I use internally? ClickUp, because ClickUp is the most ubiquitous from a do everything standpoint. ClickUp does more. So you can view ClickUp in a variety of different views. So you can see it as a list, or you can see it as a calendar. Right. So, hey, when does this stuff do? Calendar view. Like, hey, what do I got to get done? List view. Right. Hey, what is dependent on what? Gantt chart view. And so it will give a Gantt chart, like the bar, the line. Like if this is dependent on this and this is dependent on that.
Yeah, I like those charts. What's it called? I've never heard that.
Gantt, Gantt, I think is how it's spelled.
Gantt chart. Never heard of that before.
Chart. So just look up what a Gantt chart is, and ClickUp makes one for you, and you don't have to think; it just does it. So if you put dependencies and dates on stuff, and you bump one and change stuff, it'll just adjust everything for you. So there you go.
Okay.
So and this is just comes from 20 years of management experience, right? So hey, what do you use? This. Hey, that's kind of like this, right? Well, not really. Try it. Okay. So they're all slightly different and all slightly the same from each other. It's just that certain things are better at other things. Jira is very good for technical aspects and doing a bunch of technical stuff, whereas Monday is pretty. So
I'll take pretty. I'm a pretty guy.
You always pick the one that the group will use. I don't care what we use as long as the group friggin' uses it. So
yeah.
We're right now doing an implementation with a group called Excello. And Excello is really damn good at figuring out project management. It also is really good at figuring out fee structures, and it's really good at figuring out how much you're spending on each piece of the equation. So from a project manager standpoint, Excello is freaking wonderful, right? So it depends on who you're trying to serve and what their end result needs to look like, right? So there you go.
All right. I realize we sort of jumped the gun on this a little bit, like, because I was thinking about this more broadly. Like, what is outsourcing? Outsourcing, like, what's the difference between outsourcing and hiring?
Hiring is I'm hiring somebody for my office here now next to me. I can poke them and touch them and talk to them about meetings. And we can go for coffee and hang out together. Outsourcing is I'm hiring somebody from halfway across the world who usually is going to be a cheaper rate than the guy sitting next to me because North America is expensive, right? So the last time I was in the Philippines, obviously this is different, a beer was 13 cents, right? So, I mean, thinking about the expenses, living expenses and what food costs halfway across the world is really cheap compared to, here, right? So I'll give you a direct example. A steak dinner here is 100, $200, right? Whereas a steak dinner for 27 people in the Philippines, last time I was there at a penthouse, cost me $200. So that was great. It was the most fanciest thing I've ever done. There was as many servers as there were people, and they actually had the white glove. I'm like, there's a real white glove service. And they actually legit have white gloves. And they had the little.
Yeah, you don't have to be on the Titanic to get it. You can do it for you.
There you go. And then they actually had the little cover and the whole voila, and everyone got their food at the exact same time. Like, this is crazy. This is the fanciest thing I've ever done. This is going to cost me a fortune. The bill was $200. And they're like, sorry, sir, we have to charge you more because those guys ordered drinks. And I'm like, that's it? I spend that much on the date day with my wife, like $200. Spend 28 people, including my wife. Damn it, we should stay here at the bank all the time. Anyway, so
you're making a strong case for going to the Philippines. But so really, outsourcing is just a fancy word for hiring overseas.
Hiring overseas, outsourcing. Yeah.
Sort of one of those PR things. You don't want to be like, well, I'm just hiring cheap foreign workers. You're like, I'm outsourcing.
Well, there's a difference though. At the same time, right? It's not just quote unquote cheap foreign workers, right? Because you're taking the world as a full stage versus just taking North America, right? So because the living expenses are lower in other places, you can pay them less than North American, but by their standards, they're making a killing, right?
Right.
So, last I went to the Philippines, which was a while back, granted, but I think like, minimum wage was like $7-8 a day. So you drop like, $20 and you got three people follow you around all day long if you want, right? And so
Yeah. Yeah. You're not, I mean, you're not exploiting those workers. They're very happy to be getting the money they're getting, right?
well, the last time I went to the Philippines, the guy at Burger King flipping my burger had a master's degree. So he was
Sure.
already 3 times smarter than me. And I'm like, I should be flipping your burger. Like,
Yeah.
like you're way smarter than I am. What the hell?
Hmm.
And he's like, job market here is tough. Like in the Philippines, there's like a gajillion people. Like let's put it this way: in Asia, they have more A honor students than North America has students. Right? So the cream of their crop is bigger than our entire crop. So, so think about that. So
I remember. Well, I probably should get into that. But yeah, I mean, you're not exploiting the people you're hiring. They're getting a wage they're happy to be getting.
And the secret sauce is pay them more than everybody else is paying, because
Yeah,
you
they'll be loyal to you.
You attract the best of the best of the best. They never want to leave because they go hunting for jobs someplace else. Like, no, they don't even pay close to what you offer. So yeah.
What about Fiverr and Upwork for these things? How do they fit into all that?
Also great. I've hired people from Fiverr. I've hired people from Upwork. I've hired people from all sorts of places like that.
Are you paying a premium?
You just get to know them after long enough, and then you go, "Hey, want to work for me all the time? Yeah, sure, done."
Upwork doesn't like that. Fiverr's not going to like you saying that.
That's the thing though. You're in communication with these workers. There's nothing preventing you from hiring them directly. Some of them have like a contract with Upwork or Fiverr or whatever.
Yeah,
Fiverr
no.
is usually independents, right? Is what I find.
Okay.
Upwork, some of them work in conjunction with, but for those guys, I mean, they would be willing to work at a lesser rate, but at a continual basis, on and on and on. Whereas if they just stayed on the Upwork platform, sometimes they get a gig, sometimes they don't get a gig, right? So
Yeah.
they'd be willing to work at a lesser rate but consistent over time, and so you just have to make sure you have enough work for these people. So
Right. Of course, I noticed Fiverr, certain words flag it, and it gives you a little warning. Hey, don't try to skirt our system here. You
yeah,
have a little warning coming up if you use certain words in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
All right, fair enough. I'm just looking at it. We got lots of things to go over here. This is a big subject, apparently.
Maybe we'll make this a two-parter, and we'll talk about that's the third thing as another episode. So
yeah, all right. Well, let's see. Let's do another one anyway. Communication channels. Develop a detailed contract or agreement. Create a comprehensive contract or agreement that clearly outlines the scope of work, responsibilities, deadlines, pricing, payment terms, confidentiality clauses, intellectual property rights, and any other important terms and conditions. Seek legal advice to ensure the contract protects your interests and provides necessary safeguards. What do you think about that?
Well, it's important to have the contract, but the problem is that in real life, it's really hard to uphold the contract, right? Try suing another country. The country's a third world country. It's really tough, right?
I was just thinking that. Yeah, like,
so
what are you going to do? Do you even have any jurisdiction?
No. I'm Filipino. For me to sue someone in the Philippines, I'm still basically Canadian. Doesn't matter, right? So it's really hard to chase them down. So instead of trying to safeguard everything with paperwork, I mean, still do it because it'll scare people into compliance. But at the same time, so no one steals your stuff and runs. But at the same time, make sure that people only have just enough access to whatever you trust them with.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a level of trust. In our other talks, I'm part of a couple of accountability groups and other teams and masterminds. My buddy Kayvon talks about trust being like a tree, right? So you've got roots, you've got a branch. Those things don't get to people you don't trust, because if someone screws up the roots or the trunk, everybody dies. The whole tree keels over and dies. But
yeah,
if they have access to a branch or a twig or a leaf, then if they screw up, only that one leaf dies and the whole tree doesn't go with it. So, start them off at the leaf level, then, okay, here, I believe in you, here's a twig, right? And when they believe in you, then here's a branch. Now they're the branch manager. And then from the branch, root, you go back to the trunk, and then So, the owner should always be the root trunk person, right? Or if they have like a C-level executive, then they should have access to like the root or the trunk, right? but managers should only be a branch, and then so on and so forth, right? And you assign a value to, hey, a leaf is worth $20. If you have to make a decision under $20, don't bother asking, just do it and then report back, right? Here is a credit card, the max you can spend on this sucker is $35. Go nuts, right? At a time. And then we come back and check out what they've done, right? You set a limit of $500 on that credit card, because you can make virtual credit cards these days. You trust them with that amount, and you see how they do, right?
Yeah, it looks like this kind of ties in. So that's your answer to a contract. You don't necessarily worry about that too much. But the next point is to start with a pilot project or trial period. If possible, again, with a small scale pilot project or a trial period to assess the capabilities and compatibility of the outsourcing partner. This allows you to evaluate their performance, adherence to deadlines, quality of work, and communication skills before committing to a long-term partnership.
This actually leads into the hack of the week, but
does it?
The pilot project model is absolutely key. And what you do with the pilot project is you test your standard operational procedure. So new guy comes in, you give them the SOP without saying anything and say, follow this. If you have questions, just ask. And then they'll do it. If they make it from the beginning to the end and they actually do all the steps, your SOP is good. If they go, they go halfway and they have questions, well, you need some clarifications in your SOP anyway, right? So the hiring process is, in fact, an SOP testing process. Once your SOP is solid,
2 for 1.
Anyone you hire can follow these directions because it's been proven. So the hilarious thing is your directions should be easy enough that a 5-year-old can follow it. And believe it or not, I used to have a 5-year-old. And and I would actually get him to do stuff. And if he can do it, hey, SOP is solid, right? Like if my 5-year-old kid can do this, and some person who's got like a master's degree can't do this, master's degree guy is fired. Right?
There you go, everyone. Earl recommends child labor. That's what you just heard here.
I'm Asian, so
it's the norm. Okay, now the next one is provide clear instructions and documentation. Pretty sure we covered that already. AI.
Not necessarily. So thoroughly researching, clearly defining objectives is one thing, but providing clear instructions and documentation is another. If I say my objective is to do marketing for this company, that's a very vague and fuzzy objective. If I have here is how to do a proper Facebook post from A to B, and here's all the hashtags you need to do, and that is providing clear instructions and documentation, right? So making it crystal clear, do these steps, make the French fries the exact same way in every country, and you get the same results. So that if you've done a post on Instagram that did really well, here's how to repeat that post so it keep happening over and over again, right? So the direction is one thing. Hey, this is our overarching goal, what we're supposed to do. But how you do the task has to be so granular. It's like, here are the exact instructions. And as they get better at the task, they'll make your instructions better.
What do you mean?
Well, hey, we found out that if we upload it from YouTube onto Facebook, we get not as much engagement. But if we upload it directly to Facebook, a video, people stick around longer, and Facebook actually shows it off more because no one's leaving the Facebook. Right. So your job changes from grab it on YouTube and post it on Facebook to no, export the video to YouTube and then export the video to Facebook separately.
Okay, that ties in perfectly with our next one. But let me just ask you, how much do you love it when you write a big SOP and then Facebook changes their user interface?
Oh, dear Lord, I hate that. But I hate it less now because I don't write the SOPs no more.
Oh, did you write an SOP for writing SOPs?
Yes.
Oh, really? That sounds like Earl.
So I just tell them, this is the end result I'd like. Write me an SOP and test it.
Brilliant.
They do.
Brilliant. Okay, so this next one here is foster a collaborative relationship. Treat the outsourcing partner as an extension of your team rather than just a service provider. Foster a collaborative relationship by building trust, maintaining open lines of communication, and involving them in relevant discussions and decision-making processes. This can lead to better collaboration and outcomes.
I don't treat my staff any different than I treat my outsourcers. They are the same. They're on the same level. In fact, for the longest time, one of my outsourcers made more money than one of my staff here locally. So I don't treat them any different. The base pay is equivalent to whatever the country, requirements are, but my VAs can make more money than my North American counterparts just through bonus structures. I don't treat anyone different, right? So if they make commission, I pay them North American level commission because I would have had to pay that anyways. So if the commission's 10% on a $10,000 deal, here's $1,000. That might be 2 months of salary to them. But to me, I would have paid it regardless. So I'm happy to pay the regular price and commission because they earned it. That makes sense?
Yep.
So
Totally.
fair is fair. They did the work. Here you go. Here's the money. Don't care who you are or
And
where you're from. Here's the money.
that's a big day for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're very well incentivized to follow the system, follow the program, do the thing, go get the bonuses. As an employer, right? It's your job to construct the job for your employee to hit the levels they would like to hit. So if your employee wants a raise, you give them a pathway to get to it so that the job, like whatever the multiplier is. So let's say your multiplier is 3.5, right? If they want $1,000 raise, they need to bring $3,500 into the company more. Cool. Here's how to do it. Here's how to accomplish this. You hit this, you get your raise, no problem. Because on top of the fee that you're paying them, you still have your overhead, you still have your expenses, you still have your cost of goods, your licensing, your software licenses, blah, 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 all the crap you still have to pay. So, that's why there's a multiplier for staff or outsourcer, don't care. Same thing, right? They hit the number. Great, here's your raise. Done.
Beautiful. All right, we're getting near. We're a little over time here, but let's try to charge through these last two just to wrap it up. Protect sense. What's that?
I think we can soldier through the last couple.
Let's do it. Protect sense. Not like we're on a schedule here.
Yes.
Protect sensitive information and intellectual property. Protect your mouth from stray hairs. Protect sensitive information and intellectual property. If your work involves sensitive information or intellectual property, ensure that appropriate safeguards are in place. Implement confidentiality agreements, secure data transfer methods, and access controls to protect your valuable assets. Have you ever had a problem? Have you ever had an issue with this?
Yeah, absolutely. So what you do is you use a tool called LastPass.
Okay.
Right? So it's a password management tool. If you have to terminate a relationship with somebody and they have access to 100 things, you really want to spend the rest of your afternoon disengaging them and changing all the passwords to everything? Not really, right? So I just go to LastPass and go boop, delete them from the folder, and then they have access to nothing, right? So protecting your stuff is super easy if you use the right types of tools, right? If you don't use the right types of tools, so as an example, we use Google Drive in our organization, right? So you have rights based on your user, based on Google Drive. If I suspend your user, you have rights to nothing, right? And that's it.
Right.
So I don't use people's personal emails. I use our corporate emails. Like, yeah, but Earl, that costs money. Yeah, but it saves you hair and sanity, right? So, if someone has a baby and then has to leave, I still don't want sensitive, documents out there floating around the internet. If they get hacked, we get hacked, right? So I just turf their account or pause their account or whatever. And then just like that, no one can access this through that channel ever again. If there's sensitive data or materials there, no one can get it.
Brilliant.
Nice and simple.
All right, charging ahead. Continuously evaluate and adapt. Regularly evaluate the outcomes, benefits, and challenges of outsourcing. Identify areas for improvement and make necessary adjustments to your outsourcing strategy and processes. Learn from each project and iteration. Learning from each project and iteration can help customize the outsourcing experience over time.
Agreed. Same thing. As an employer, it's your job to design the job, right? So so people everybody raises their, pulls their sleeves up and does the work kind of organization will only scale so big, right? So if you instead of rolling up your sleeves and doing the work yourself, the harder work is building the system by which other people can go and do this, right? So remember, it's not a business if you have to show up. How many McDonald's owners are sitting there frying French fries, right? There are some, and those guys never get beyond 1 or 2 locations. For franchising to work, you need 5, 10, 15, 20 locations, and now you're making the big money, right? So to do that, you can't be making the French fries. That's just how it works. So the same thing goes with, continuing evaluation and adaptation. Give your people more access to the tree, right? Now they've graduated from leaf to twig to branch to bigger branch, sure, right? But then they make more money, but they produce more. You give them more responsibility. it's kind of a balance of both responsibility and authority, right? Because you need both. If they don't have the responsibility to do something because they're not assigned to it, and they don't have the authority to do something, they're not supposed to be doing this, or they don't have the stature or the quote unquote the right title to do something, it's never going to get done. It just won't work, right? You got to give them the rights to do stuff, the authority to do stuff, and the transparency for them to be able to report back, right? And that's continuously evaluation, right? My first VA went from my first VA to now she is a full-fledged business partner, owning 33% of one of my businesses.
Wow.
So, and that's why I was saying she was making more money than a North American. Why? Because she owns 33% of one of the businesses. That's it. Again, I don't treat them any different. So, yeah, that's really the secret. Right? Don't treat them different, right? Just make your. I don't care where you're from. I will make you idiot-proof instructions. I don't care if you're from here. I don't care if you're from another country. The idiot-proof instructions is the system by which my business sits upon, right? So, yeah.
Nice. All right, that's all it says there. That's all I think. So now we got the. Gotta hit the thing.
Gotta hit the thing. Here we go. Here's the thing.
We got the mic hack of the week.
Gotta watch out. Might put some Isaiah out.
Yeah.
Anyway,
hacked this week. All right.
All right. So hack of the week is real simple. Hire 3, test 3, keep 1. So we were talking earlier about having test projects. So to fully test an SOP, 3 people have to survive it and make it to the end, right? So every project I have an SOP for, because projects usually want to repeat, right? So I hire 3 people. I have all 3 of them run the same SOP, the exact same thing, build these things. Yes, I realize there's a redundancy in that. But when you run 3 people through it, because it's inexpensive, because you're usually hiring people from across the world, and their hourly rates aren't as high as the crazy ones in North America, you can still hire 3 people, and it's usually equivalent or less than hiring somebody here, right? So think about it. If the rate in, let's call it the Philippines, was $6 an hour, right? And minimum wage in Canada is what, $15, $16, $17, right? Even if I hired 2 people to test this SOP, it's still cheaper than hiring somebody here in North America.
Right.
They both test it, they both try it out. Whichever one gets the job done better, if everyone got the job done equally, then whichever one gelled with the team the best is the one I keep permanently. So at the end of the equation here, I thank the 2 that didn't make it. I go, thank you for doing the work. Here's your payment. Job well done. We'll call you if we ever need you again. The one who,
so I guess there's always the chance that it's not a problem with your SOP, but you're dealing with a real incompetent.
Right. So if I say click the login button, here is the login button, and circle it in red, and they can't follow that, they're fired.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So hire 3, test 3, keep 1. You keep the one that's that got the job the best and merges well with the team the best. But you've also got 2 other talents. If everybody did a really good job and you're just picking the cream of the best of the best of the best, when you expand and need more of that position, try the other 2 again. Bring them in again as shortlist if they don't have a job that they like, and roll the dice again. They might be at the top of the heap the next time through. Brilliant.
There you have it. Earl's Guide to Outsourcing.
There you go. With one eye tied behind my back.
Yeah. That's good.
There you go.
Incredible, Earl. How good would this show have been if you had 2 eyes? Incredible.
Then I could actually read the notes.
Yeah.
This time,
that's why you hired me.
I'm not really reading. I'm squinting at the notes and going, "Oh, what did Dan say this one? All right, cool."
Well, it's all right. You got me here to read them. So I guess there's nothing left to do but play us out.
Right, play it out.
Don't miss the button.
I'm trying not to. I almost hit the wrong one. I have no depth perception right now, so this is fun.
I remember my dad one time had a problem with his eye.
Thanks for listening to Earl and the Idiot. We hope you learned something you can take action on this week. For more information or to contact the show, visit earlandtheidiot.com. And until next time, remember what Shakespeare said. The fool doth think he is wise, but the wise man knows himself to be a fool.
Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week.
There you
Thank you,
go.
Earl.
You were saying one thing before I hit the button and
Oh, did you cut me off? I said my dad one time was drinking a glass of something and tried to pour me a glass of milk, and he poured the milk all over the table because the glass was blocking his eye.
There you go. Depth
Very
perception.
important.
I have missed 3 receipts and a banana today. So there you go.
At least
All
you
right.
get to wear an eye patch. Thanks, Earl. See everybody.
Cheers, everyone.